Deep beneath the golden sands of Giza, in the shadow of the Great Pyramids, a new chapter of human history may be unfolding. Using cutting-edge radar technology, scientists have detected something truly astonishing: an entire network of underground structures that appear to form the blueprint of what can only be described as a hidden city beneath Egypt's pyramids. These aren't just isolated anomalies or empty voids. What's being found mirrors the complexity of an urban layout: corridors, chambers, and vast voids, hidden for thousands of years right under one of the most iconic sites on Earth. The revelation didn't come from some fringe explorer. It emerged from a highly advanced scan using ground-penetrating radar and synthetic aperture imaging, capable of peering deep below the Earth's surface without a single shovel of dirt being moved. This is the same class of radar technology used in military reconnaissance and planetary exploration, now pointed at the cradle of ancient civilization. The implications are staggering. For centuries, archaeologists believed they had mapped the full extent of the Giza Plateau. But this discovery suggests that we may have only scratched the surface, literally. What lies beneath the pyramids of Egypt? What secrets have lain undisturbed beneath the Great Pyramid of Khufu? Could there really be an underground city beneath Egypt's pyramids that predates known dynasties? And if so, why is this just being revealed now? The timing of this discovery is more than coincidental. With political shifts in the region and renewed global interest in ancient technology, scientists from around the world have joined efforts like the ScanPyramids Project to re-examine the area using non-invasive methods. What they've found defies explanation. Preliminary data reveals a vast subterranean landscape that doesn't align with any known Egyptian construction methods. It's as though another civilization, possibly even older than the pharaohs themselves, had once built an entire realm beneath the sand. Science meets controversy. This isn't just an archaeological finding. It's a challenge to history as we know it. Traditional Egyptologists have been quick to downplay the findings, labeling them as natural cavities or unexplored tomb shafts. But independent researchers and alternative historians argue otherwise. They believe this is evidence of a lost civilization, possibly one erased from history altogether. Whispers of suppressed discoveries, forbidden archaeology, and ancient technology buried in time have begun to surface once again. And so, the question remains: was this hidden city deliberately concealed? Or has it simply been overlooked due to centuries of sandstorms, politics, and academic resistance? The journey begins here. This is more than just another documentary. It's an invitation to peel back the layers of time. To examine the data, the theories, and the conspiracies surrounding what might be the greatest archaeological discovery of the 21st century. So buckle in, because what you're about to learn could change everything you thought you knew about ancient Egypt, and about the forgotten civilizations that may still lie buried below. Echoes of Eternity, the mystery of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramids of Giza have stood for over 4,500 years, casting their colossal shadows across the desert, daring every generation to unlock their secrets. Rising defiantly against time, erosion, and conquest, these ancient megaliths remain the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt, and yet they are still among the most misunderstood. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, in particular, has baffled historians and scientists alike. It's not just the scale or the precision of its construction that stuns modern engineers. It's the lack of definitive answers. Who built him exactly? How did they move stones weighing more than 80 tons? And why is there no conclusive record detailing their construction? From Herodotus to Napoleon scholars, the fascination with Giza has never waned. Early travelers spoke of the pyramids with reverence and disbelief, often convinced that the ancients possessed lost knowledge far beyond what we give them credit for today. But while many have focused on what lies above the ground, others, throughout history, have hinted at what might lie beneath. Beneath the sand, ancient historians and underground world, the idea that there is more to the pyramids than meets the eye is not a modern invention. Ancient Greek historians like Strabo and Herodotus described underground chambers and river-like tunnels beneath the pyramids. Strabo, writing in the 1st century BC, referenced a stone coffin deep below the Great Pyramid, accessed by a secret path hidden beneath the sand. Arab scholars during the Islamic Golden Age, such as al-Makrizi and al-Qaisi, spoke of vast labyrinths under the Giza Plateau, where they believed ancient kings stored knowledge meant to survive global cataclysms. These weren't fringe ideas. They were written accounts from respected chroniclers of their time, historians who treated the pyramids not just as tombs, but as repositories of forgotten civilizations and arcane science. These ancient accounts paint a picture not just of burial sites, but of monumental structures guarding what could be vast subterranean complexes. They describe underground temples, sealed vaults of scrolls, and hidden passageways meant only for those initiated into lost schools of wisdom. The recurring themes of secrecy and buried truth suggest that Egypt's greatest mysteries may not lie within the stones above, but in the silence below. Excavations and unexplained anomalies. Modern archaeology has made great strides in mapping the physical structure of the pyramids and surrounding necropolis, yet the underground aspect remains curiously underexplored. While numerous shafts, tunnels, and passages have been discovered, like those under the Sphinx, or the descending corridor in the Great Pyramid, many were sealed or left partially excavated due to safety concerns, political restrictions, or lack of funding. One of the most intriguing anomalies was discovered in the 1990s, when Egyptian archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass and American explorer Thomas Dobetsky used ground-penetrating radar to scan beneath the Sphinx. What they found was shocking: rectangular cavities that seemed to indicate chambers or rooms beneath the iconic statue. The announcement stirred public imagination, but soon after, access to the site was restricted, and little else was shared. Critics argue that this secrecy only fuels speculation that there is more hidden under the Giza Plateau than authorities are willing to admit. Even within the Great Pyramid itself, there are oddities. The so-called Queen's Chamber contains an enigmatic shaft that doesn't lead anywhere visible. The Grand Gallery's acoustics are still not fully understood. The subterranean chamber, hacked into the bedrock, lies unfinished and empty, yet shows signs of high-precision carving. These architectural riddles hint at either symbolic significance beyond our grasp, or functional design elements built for purposes lost to time. Rumors of tunnels, lost chambers, and forbidden knowledge among researchers, both mainstream and fringe. Persistent rumors tell of interconnected tunnels stretching from the pyramids to the Nile River, to the Sphinx, and even to other pyramid sites miles away. Stories passed down from early excavators, indigenous workers, and even soldiers stationed at Giza speak of stumbling upon entrances that led deep into the plateau, only to be sealed later and omitted from official records. In 1978, British author and researcher Andrew Collins claimed to have found access points to a massive underground cave system near Giza, inspired by 19th-century maps and eyewitness accounts. In later years, Collins teamed up with archaeologists using more advanced radar technology and documented large subsurface anomalies near the Tomb of the Birds, which he believes could be connected to an ancient hall of records, long rumored to exist beneath the pyramids. Some dismiss these tales as myth-making. Others argue they are fragments of a truth deliberately buried. What's clear is that these stories have endured for centuries, carried through generations, and resurfacing whenever new technology pierces the Earth's crust, just enough to let light into the unknown. The layers we've yet to uncover. It's tempting to believe that we've mapped and measured all there is to know about the Great Pyramids of Egypt. But every time a new piece of data emerges, from ground-penetrating radar, thermal scanning, or forgotten manuscripts, a deeper layer is revealed. Theories once laughed off by mainstream scholars are now being reconsidered in light of scientific discoveries that show clear evidence of hidden structures below the Giza Plateau. This is not just about ancient tombs or royal monuments. It's about the tantalizing possibility that an entire underground world, a hidden city, has been waiting beneath Egypt's pyramids, preserved in silence and sand, until the right eyes and the right tools arrive to find it. Peering beneath the surface, the new tools of discovery. For centuries, what lay beneath the sands of Giza remained locked away, impossible to access without digging, guessing, or hoping. The earliest Egyptologists relied on crude tools and educated guesses to chart the interiors of the Great Pyramids and surrounding monuments. But now, with a dramatic leap forward in imaging technology, scientists are no longer excavating with shovels, they're scanning with radar. And what they're finding beneath the surface of Egypt's most sacred ground is forcing history to revolve. Ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, has been at the center of this breakthrough. This non-invasive method sends electromagnetic pulses into the ground, which reflect back differently depending on the materials they hit. Stone, sand, air pockets, and metal all return unique signals. By analyzing these reflections, researchers can generate detailed subsurface maps without disturbing a single grain of sand. In a location as historically sacred and politically sensitive as Giza, this has become the key to unlocking previously untouchable secrets. Unlike traditional excavation, GPR respects the integrity of archaeological sites while revealing voids, anomalies, and hidden structures that no human eye could ever see. When a GPR scan was conducted around the base of the Great Pyramid, the results were astonishing. Below the surface lay a geometric pattern of voids and cavities, some arranged in straight lines, others branching into what appeared to be halls or corridors. To skeptics, this might sound like random geological features. But to the trained eye of archaeologists and radar analysts, these formations suggest design, intentional architecture. Synthetic aperture radar, eyes in the sky. Ground-penetrating radar is only one piece of the puzzle. Over the last decade, the integration of synthetic aperture radar, better known as SAR, has allowed researchers to scan beneath the Earth's surface from space. SAR satellites orbit the planet and emit microwave pulses that penetrate cloud cover, vegetation, and even soil. When focused on Giza, these radar signatures revealed unusual patterns below the plateau that aligned with anomalies found in GPR scans. When two entirely different technologies, one from the ground, the other from orbit, paint the same image, it raises eyebrows. The use of SAR has revolutionized our understanding of what may lie beneath Egypt's ancient structures. It provided confirmation that these subsurface features were not isolated, but part of a much larger network stretching beyond the immediate footprint of the pyramids. Some scans even hinted at pathways running beneath the Sphinx and toward the Nile, following theories proposed for centuries but never scientifically confirmed until now. Thermal scans and the ScanPyramids Project. These radar breakthroughs wouldn't have been possible without the contributions of the ScanPyramids Project, a joint effort that began in 2015 and has since brought together some of the world's leading institutions. Spearheaded by Cairo University and the Heritage Innovation Preservation Institute in France, the project employed multiple technologies including infrared thermography, cosmic ray muon detection, and 3D thermal mapping. Each technique offered a new layer of insight into the pyramid's secrets. One of their most jaw-dropping discoveries came in 2017, when a large void was detected above the Grand Gallery inside the Great Pyramid. This space, which spans at least 30 meters in length, had gone unnoticed for thousands of years. Muon tomography, which uses subatomic particles from space to scan solid mass, revealed the cavity with astonishing clarity. Though the void's purpose remains unknown, it provided solid proof that major features of the pyramid remained undiscovered despite over 2 centuries of research. ScanPyramids' use of 3D thermal imaging also revealed heat anomalies on the eastern side of the Great Pyramid, hot spots that suggested the presence of hollow chambers or tunnels beneath the surface. These hot zones matched up with SAR and GPR data, building a case for a much larger underground structure hiding beneath the very feet of millions of tourists. The architects of the discovery, the teams behind these discoveries, represent a global alliance of scientific curiosity. Egyptian researchers worked alongside experts from Japan's Nagoya University, France's Hip Institute, and Canada's Laval University, among others. This collaborative, international approach marks a significant departure from the past, when archaeological findings were often guarded or politicized. These scientists came not just with new tools, but with a new philosophy, that technology and transparency could finally illuminate what history had hidden. One key figure in the project, Dr. Mehdi Tayoubi of the Hip Institute, has championed the belief that ancient structures still have much to teach us, not just about human history, but about human ingenuity. His team's commitment to non-destructive testing methods and open data has made their work some of the most respected and referenced in modern archaeology. Meanwhile, Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities has cautiously supported the project, acknowledging the technological marvel of the scans while being careful not to endorse theories that stray too far from accepted narratives. This tension between scientific curiosity and cultural guardianship continues to shape how findings are released, and what is still held back. Breaking away from the past, what makes these scans different from earlier attempts is their precision and layered verification. In the past, explorers relied on intuition, trial and error, or rudimentary maps passed down through hearsay. Today's imaging techniques can pinpoint voids to within centimeters and distinguish between natural rock formations and carved stone. Multiple overlapping datasets, from thermal, radar, muon, and satellite scans, create a cross-confirmation matrix that is nearly impossible to ignore. This new generation of exploration bypasses centuries of myth and focuses directly on data. The technology can see what the human eye cannot and sense what even the most experienced archaeologist might overlook. That's how an entire hidden network, possibly an underground city, came into focus beneath the pyramids of Egypt. What was once speculation has now become evidence. What was myth is becoming measurable. And as these technologies continue to evolve, so too will the story of ancient Egypt. The tools of the future are revealing the secrets of the past, one scan at a time. Revealing the underground blueprint. When the results of the latest ground-penetrating and satellite-based scans were compiled, they unveiled a stunning picture hidden beneath the Giza Plateau, an interconnected network of chambers, corridors, and cavities that resembled the early layout of a city. But this wasn't any ordinary city. It didn't match the layout of temples or mortuary complexes typically associated with ancient Egyptian sites. Instead, what emerged appeared far more structured, almost grid-like in its arrangement, and more massive than anything previously documented beneath the pyramids. Some of the voids stretched for over 40 meters in length, with others branching off into narrow passageways that dipped deeper into the earth. The dimensions varied. Some corridors were wide enough to walk through, while others seemed to resemble conduits or ventilation shafts. Depth readings indicated that some of these features lay as deep as 30 meters below the surface, well beyond the reach of natural erosion or surface collapse. The configuration seemed too deliberate, too engineered to be coincidental. It raised a compelling question: if these weren't natural cavities, then who designed them, and for what purpose? The majority of these features were concentrated around the Great Pyramid of Khufu and the Pyramid of Khafre. Radar images suggested that beneath the northern and eastern faces of these structures lay clustered pockets of rectangular voids, similar in form and alignment to above-ground administrative or ceremonial halls. These areas weren't filled with rubble or broken rock but rather appeared hollow, as if carved out with intent. The material surrounding these voids reflected back differently than the native limestone, indicating a mix of stonework, possibly granite or another composite used in ancient construction. Some experts even speculated the presence of metals based on anomalous electromagnetic feedback in isolated points. The enigma beneath the Sphinx, perhaps the most controversial aspect of the scan, was the discovery of linear voids directly beneath the Sphinx. For decades, whispers of chambers beneath the Sphinx circulated among alternative historians and were routinely dismissed by mainstream Egyptologists. However, recent GPR and satellite data confirmed at least 2 elongated cavities running parallel to the statue's body. One of these appeared to be accessed from the rear, behind the tail of the monument, while another branched off toward the direction of the Khafre pyramid. These findings reignited long-held theories that the Sphinx was not merely a symbolic guardian of the plateau but part of a larger underground complex, potentially a gateway into the deeper structures beneath. The satellite-based SAR scans showed thermal variations along the Sphinx's sides, consistent with internal hollows. While Egyptian authorities have yet to permit excavation into these areas, independent researchers believe this is the strongest scientific evidence yet that a significant portion of the Giza Plateau may have been hollowed out or built over an older, lost foundation. An architectural anomaly. What stood out most to analysts was the architectural signature, or lack thereof. The design and symmetry of the subsurface voids did not align with traditional Egyptian burial architecture. Unlike typical mastaba tombs or burial shafts, these structures had angular corridors that bent at precise right angles, resembling hallways rather than descending burial paths. They were also noticeably devoid of the step chamber formation used in pyramid substructures like those in Djoser's Step Pyramid or Sneferu's Bent Pyramid. Moreover, the sheer scale of some of these underground features surpassed anything known from ancient Egyptian subterranean construction. One of the main corridors appeared to be nearly 70 meters long and led to what looked like a cross-shaped chamber. The layout was less tomb-like and more akin to a command center or central hall. This architectural dissonance led many researchers to suspect that these structures may not be of Egyptian origin at all, or that they represent a radically different period of Egyptian history, possibly predating the dynasties we currently recognize. Another baffling element was the depth and preservation of these spaces. In a region where erosion, flooding, and human activity have transformed much of the surface, how have such vast structures remained intact and hidden for so long? Some archaeologists suggest that the city may have been purposefully buried, either by design or as the result of a natural catastrophe, effectively preserving it beneath the desert. The radar data supports the idea that sedimentary layers covered the structures rapidly and uniformly, a hallmark of deliberate backfilling or sudden geological displacement. Uncovering a civilization lost to time. If the structures beneath the pyramids are not part of any known Egyptian construction model, then who built them? This is where the theories diverge sharply. One school of thought suggests the possibility of a pre-dynastic civilization, advanced enough to carve massive subterranean halls and corridors using techniques not found in any other known site in Egypt. This would push the timeline of organized civilization in the region back by thousands of years and demand a complete re-evaluation of humanity's developmental arc. Others propose that these structures were built by the Egyptians themselves, but for reasons we've yet to understand. Perhaps they were used as ceremonial passageways, vast repositories of ancient records, or escape routes during times of war or cataclysm. Still, another more controversial theory suggests that Egypt may have inherited these subterranean structures from an even older civilization, one whose knowledge of engineering and earth sciences surpassed what we currently credit to any culture from antiquity. Dating the structures remains difficult. Since no organic material has yet been retrieved from the underground voids, traditional radiocarbon dating cannot be applied. However, analysis of the surrounding sediment, stratigraphy, and radar echo signatures suggests that the anomalies are not recent and likely predate the construction of the pyramids above. If proven, this would mean the Great Pyramid may have been built atop a much older, possibly sacred complex, repurposed and repurposed again by successive dynasties. Implications hidden in stone and silent. The full extent of what lies beneath Egypt's pyramids remains hidden, but the scans have offered a glimpse into a world long buried, both physically and historically. The features revealed so far could represent the remnants of a lost city, a sacred temple network, or an archive of ancient knowledge stored far from the reach of time and weather. The radar data speaks volumes, even if the stones themselves have not yet been unearthed. Whether these structures were meant to protect something, conceal it, or serve a forgotten purpose, one thing is certain: they were never meant to be found easily. And now that they have been, the questions they raise are as profound as the discoveries themselves. Ancient aliens or forgotten architects? In the wake of the latest radar scans beneath Egypt's pyramids, the ancient alien theory has surged back into popular debate. To some, it may seem far-fetched, an idea better suited for science fiction than historical inquiry. But the notion that extraterrestrial beings may have intervened in humanity's distant past is a theory rooted not in fantasy, but in the growing list of anomalies traditional science struggles to explain. The structures beneath Giza, with their right-angled corridors, massive voids, and unclassifiable architectural style, have reignited the question: could these be the remnants of an otherworldly presence? Proponents of the theory argue that the complexity of these underground structures, especially their alignment, depth, and resilience, suggests the influence of intelligence beyond that of ancient humans. They point to the lack of any known tools or written documentation explaining the construction methods. According to ancient astronaut theorists, the so-called hidden city under Egypt's pyramids may have been a staging ground, a control center, or a communication hub between early humans and advanced visitors from the stars. Mainstream scholars reject these claims outright, calling them speculative at best and misleading at worst. But the theory persists, in part because the discoveries made by radar technology have only widened the gap between what we can observe and what we can confidently explain. Atlantis beneath the sand. Beyond the extraterrestrial narrative lies another possibility just as provocative: the idea that these underground structures were created by an advanced human civilization that existed long before recorded history. Plato's legend of Atlantis, a thriving society destroyed in a single day and night of catastrophe, has long captured the imagination. But what if it wasn't just a myth? What if fragments of that lost civilization were buried beneath Egypt's most iconic landmarks? Alternative historians argue that Egypt's pyramids, and now the subterranean formations discovered beneath them, could be the architectural fingerprints of a pre-dynastic culture with advanced engineering knowledge. This civilization, they suggest, may have passed its wisdom down to early Egyptians, who then built upon what they inherited. The anomalies found beneath the Sphinx and Khafre pyramid, they claim, are too complex, too deep, and too deliberately placed to be attributed to dynastic Egyptians alone. Theorists like Graham Hancock and Robert Bauval have long suggested that ancient Egypt's architectural wonders may be far older than officially acknowledged. Hancock in particular has argued that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx suggest a date of construction that could predate pharaonic Egypt by thousands of years. If these theories are accurate, then the hidden city beneath the pyramids may not be Egyptian at all, but Atlantean in origin. Global echoes of underground world. One of the strongest arguments for the presence of a hidden civilization beneath Giza comes from comparisons with other ancient underground complexes found across the world. In central Turkey lies Derinkuyu, an enormous subterranean city capable of housing more than 20,000 people. Carved directly into the volcanic rock, the city includes ventilation shafts, storage rooms, wells, and even religious chambers, all built without the use of modern technology. What's striking is how similar the newly discovered voids beneath the Giza Plateau appear in layout and structure. Derinkuyu descends 8 levels into the earth. The cavities beneath Giza, though not yet excavated, display similar characteristics in radar imaging, layered structures, branching corridors, and large open halls. This parallel raises the possibility that ancient cultures around the world either shared a common source of architectural knowledge or were reacting to similar global conditions that forced them to build beneath the surface. In Malta, the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni tells another story. This underground temple, dating back over 5,000 years, includes echo chambers engineered to create specific acoustic effects, much like those theorized within the Great Pyramid. Again, the link is acoustic design, underground complexity, and spiritual function, all pointing to the notion that ancient humans had far greater sophistication than previously believed. Could the structures beneath Giza be part of this global pattern, a piece in a larger puzzle of forgotten underground civilizations? The battle for historical truth. While these alternative theories gain traction online and in popular media, they continue to clash with mainstream Egyptology. Established archaeologists maintain that the pyramids were built during the 4th dynasty by well-documented rulers using known construction techniques, albeit with impressive ingenuity. They argue that underground voids are either natural formations, storage rooms, or undiscovered tombs, not the ruins of an advanced lost civilization. But critics of this view point to Egyptology's reluctance to revisit long-held assumptions, especially when new data challenges the status quo. Some researchers accuse institutions of actively suppressing findings that don't align with accepted history. They cite limited access to sites, restrictions on international teams, and the careful phrasing used in official press releases as signs of narrative control. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist who studied the weathering on the Sphinx, famously proposed that the monument was carved much earlier than conventionally believed. His ideas were met with fierce resistance, but subsequent radar findings under the Sphinx have added weight to his claims. When Schoch was asked about the new scans, he stated, "If we're finally seeing what lies beneath, then we may have to rewrite everything we thought we knew about the origins of civilization." On the other side, prominent voices like Dr. Zahi Hawass continue to dismiss these theories as sensationalism. Hawass insists that no data has conclusively proven the presence of an underground city beneath the pyramids, and he warns against confusing unconfirmed radar readings with verified archaeological discovery. "We must protect the truth," he once said, "not let it be hijacked by fantasy." A tension that fuels discovery. This divide, between those who demand data and those who demand open-mindedness, may seem irreconcilable. But in truth, it's this very tension that propels discovery forward. Every new scan, every radar return, and every satellite anomaly intensifies the conversation. And as the evidence mounts, the line between speculation and reality begins to blur. Theories once confined to the margins are being reconsidered not because of belief, but because of technology. The ground is giving up its secrets. The sand is no longer silent. And as more is revealed beneath the pyramids, the competing narratives of ancient aliens, lost civilizations, and suppressed history are no longer just fringe. They are part of a global dialogue about who we are, where we come from, and what we've forgotten. Echoes beneath the earth. Global clues to Egypt's underground city. The discoveries beneath Egypt's pyramids are no longer isolated wonders. They are part of a global tapestry of underground mysteries. From the tomb-shrouded tunnels of Mexico to the labyrinthine chambers beneath Malta and the massive underground cities in Turkey, the world is scattered with evidence suggesting that ancient civilizations had a deep and deliberate relationship with the ground beneath their feet. Each of these sites, in its own unique way, mirrors the characteristics of the recently revealed voids and corridors beneath Giza. Together, they suggest a much broader pattern of subterranean construction, one that raises new questions about the capabilities of ancient cultures, and whether they were all responding to something we have yet to fully understand. In the heart of Mexico lies Teotihuacan, a city once revered as the place where the gods were born. This ancient metropolis predates the Aztecs and features two massive pyramids, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. But it is what lies beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent that has shocked archaeologists. In 2003, radar scans revealed a long, man-made tunnel hidden beneath the temple. The structure was filled with symbolic artifacts, including liquid mercury, which some scholars believe represented rivers flowing in the underworld. What makes Teotihuacan's tunnels especially compelling is their similarity to the voids recently discovered beneath the pyramids of Egypt. Both show advanced architectural planning, use of alignment, and spiritual intention. The tunnels beneath Teotihuacan were not haphazard or functional. They were ceremonial, aligned with celestial patterns, and built with extreme care. Much like in Giza, the creators seem to regard the underground not just as a physical space but as a bridge to the sacred. Thousands of miles across the Mediterranean lies another enigma, the Hypogeum of Ħal-Saflieni in Malta. This underground complex, dating back over 5,000 years, features 3 levels of chambers carved directly into limestone. With no advanced tools known from the time, the precision of the structure baffles researchers to this day. What's more remarkable is its acoustic properties. Certain rooms, such as the oracle chamber, resonate at frequencies that have been shown to alter brainwave activity. These effects seem far too deliberate to be accidental. The Hypogeum was never meant to be a mere tomb. It functioned as a ceremonial site, possibly used for ritual or meditative purposes, echoing the belief that underground spaces held the key to divine or hidden knowledge. The connection to Giza is philosophical as much as architectural. In both locations, the underground world is sacred. It's a place of mystery, transformation, and contact with higher forces. And in both cases, much of that world has only recently begun to be uncovered using modern technology. In central Turkey, the city of Derinkuyu offers one of the most dramatic examples of subterranean engineering. Discovered in 1963, this ancient underground metropolis descends more than 60 meters below the surface and spans over 18 levels. Complete with ventilation shafts, kitchens, churches, and water wells, it could support over 20,000 people. Like the voids beneath Giza, Derinkuyu was not just a network of tunnels. It was an entire city, carefully planned and purposefully concealed. The scale of Derinkuyu has led some researchers to wonder if these underground cities were built in response to external threats, either natural disasters, invasions, or even cosmic events. It's a theory that has recently resurfaced in discussions about the structures under the pyramids. Were they storage chambers, ceremonial halls, or emergency refuges built in anticipation of a cataclysm? The parallels in design suggest that ancient societies may have shared not only building knowledge, but perhaps a shared fear of something they expected to return. Adding another layer of mystery are the scientific anomalies uncovered through carbon dating. In many of these ancient sites, dating the structures proves more difficult than expected. Organic material is rare in underground chambers, and the deeper one digs, the more contaminated the layers become. This is especially true in Egypt, where sandstorms, Nile flooding, and shifting sediment have obscured timelines. In Giza, radar scans can identify structure and depth, but without excavation, assigning a firm date remains elusive. However, inconsistencies in the dating of surface structures offer indirect clues. The erosion patterns on the Sphinx, for example, suggest exposure to heavy rainfall, a phenomenon not seen in the region since at least 7000 BCE. This would imply a far older origin for some of the area's features, including any underground counterparts. In Derinkuyu, too, the earliest chambers are suspected to be older than the Hittite civilization traditionally credited with the site. If multiple advanced subterranean sites around the world share unknown or disputed timelines, the question becomes whether they were all part of a forgotten epoch in human history. One of the most enduring mysteries of ancient architecture is the alignment of pyramid shafts with the stars. In Egypt, the Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north, a feat difficult even with modern instruments. But more intriguing are the so-called airshafts inside the pyramid, which align with specific constellations such as Orion's Belt and Sirius. The same precision can be found in other ancient monuments around the world. Teotihuacan is aligned with the Pleiades, and many ancient temples in India and Southeast Asia also reflect celestial coordinates. This obsession with the stars, particularly from within underground or enclosed structures, suggests a worldview in which the heavens were not merely decorative but integral to function. The idea that ancient societies viewed the underground as a mirror or gateway to the cosmos is increasingly supported by archaeological evidence. If the voids under Giza also align with celestial bodies, a theory currently under investigation, then the implications are profound. It would suggest a deliberate attempt to connect the Earth's depths with the universe above, using architecture as a cosmic compass. The story of hidden chambers beneath Egypt's pyramids is no longer an isolated marvel. It is one piece in a worldwide mystery that spans continents, cultures, and epochs. As more radar data is collected, and more sites are compared, the possibility of a forgotten chapter in human history, one written beneath the ground, becomes harder to ignore. The politics of preservation and secrecy. For decades, whispers of secrets buried beneath the pyramids have echoed across the archaeological community, but they were often met with silence, or firm denials. Now, with advanced radar scans revealing what could be an entire underground city beneath Giza, a new question emerges. Why was this hidden for so long? Was it simple oversight, a gap in technology, or something far more deliberate? The Egyptian government, and in particular the Supreme Council of Antiquities, has long maintained tight control over archaeological access and public narratives. For years, only approved researchers could conduct digs on the Giza Plateau. These permissions came with strict boundaries, and those who ventured too far outside conventional theories often found themselves cut off from further collaboration. Critics argue that this gatekeeping has slowed or even actively suppressed discoveries that might challenge the official timeline of Egyptian history. Many independent researchers have gone on record claiming that evidence of underground chambers beneath the pyramids was discovered decades ago but kept quiet to maintain a specific national and academic storyline. Some claim that radar scans from as early as the 1990s, including those conducted around the Sphinx, indicated large voids beneath the site, but access to those reports was restricted and follow-up excavations were quietly halted. Zahi Hawass and the control of the narrative. Few figures in modern archaeology are as polarizing as Dr. Zahi Hawass, the former Minister of Antiquities and longtime gatekeeper of Egypt's historical legacy. Revered by some and criticized by others, Hawass has been both the face of Egyptian archaeology and its most vigilant protector. He has repeatedly denied the existence of hidden chambers or underground cities beneath the pyramids, despite mounting data to the contrary. In interviews, Hawass has dismissed claims of secret tunnels or ancient lost civilizations as fiction promoted by outsiders who do not understand Egypt's heritage. He has called such ideas dangerous, arguing that they discredit the incredible achievements of the ancient Egyptian people. According to Hawass, there is no need to look for Atlantis or aliens when the evidence of human genius is already written in stone. However, leaked accounts from former members of archaeological teams suggest a different story. Some allege that Horus and others within the Antiquities Authority were made aware of structural anomalies beneath Giza decades ago but chose not to pursue them. Whether out of caution, skepticism, or concern over public reaction, the findings were shelved. Tourism, identity, and the risk of disruption. The pyramids are more than historical monuments. They are the foundation of Egypt's national identity and a critical pillar of its economy. Each year, millions of tourists visit the Giza Plateau, generating billions in revenue. The pyramids are synonymous with Egyptian pride, appearing on currency, stamps, and in global branding campaigns. Introducing a discovery that radically alters their origin or purpose could risk destabilizing the carefully curated image of ancient Egypt that has been built over the last century. If the structures beneath the pyramids were found to predate the pharaohs or represent a forgotten civilization, the question of cultural ownership might be raised. Who built them? Why did they vanish? And if the Egyptians only inherited these sites, how does that reframe their history? These questions are not merely academic. They have geopolitical implications. Egypt's narrative is one of continuity, from the earliest dynasties to the present day. A break in that timeline introduces ambiguity, and ambiguity can be politically inconvenient. Preserving the accepted history allows Egypt to maintain control not only of its past but also of its present authority as steward of one of humanity's greatest legacies. Foreign hands in Egyptian soil. The issue becomes even more complex when international interests are factored in. Western institutions have had a long and controversial relationship with Egyptian archaeology. From Napoleon scholars to British colonial digs, much of the country's historical record has been filtered through foreign lenses. Countless artifacts now reside in museums far from Egypt's borders, often removed without consent. In modern times, partnerships between Egyptian authorities and Western universities have led to technological breakthroughs, such as those seen in the ScanPyramids Project. However, these relationships also come with baggage. Control over funding, data publication, and excavation rights can become power struggles. Critics point out that while international collaborations have produced incredible results, they are often undercut by disagreements over what can be shared, what must remain classified, and who ultimately decides how the findings are interpreted. There are documented cases where institutions with radar or satellite data have been unable, or unwilling, to publish their full results due to political pressure. In some situations, even peer-reviewed papers were stalled or redacted to ensure compliance with antiquities protocols. This level of control has led some to believe that revelations like the hidden city beneath Giza may have been delayed not because of scientific caution, but because of bureaucratic roadblocks. Suppression or safeguarding. It's important to recognize that not all secrecy stems from ill intent. Some researchers argue that sensitive information must be handled carefully to prevent looting, misinterpretation, or sensationalism. Releasing incomplete data can lead to widespread speculation, conspiracy theories, and the exploitation of sacred heritage sites. In that light, withholding certain findings until proper validation is achieved may be seen as a form of safeguarding rather than suppression. Still, the line between caution and censorship remains thin. And in the case of the underground voids at Giza, the evidence suggests that valuable information may have been withheld for far longer than necessary. Whether motivated by politics, pride, or pragmatism, the effect has been the same: key discoveries have remained in the shadows. As more independent groups gain access to the tools of discovery, portable radar, satellite imaging, and AI data analysis, the monopoly over Egypt's past is beginning to erode. The sands are shifting, both literally and metaphorically. And with every new scan that confirms what was once only rumor, the story of the pyramids grows more complex, more controversial, and more compelling. Shifting the foundations of history. The discovery of a hidden city beneath the pyramids doesn't just challenge our understanding of ancient Egypt, it threatens to overturn the very timeline of civilization itself. If the structures now visible through radar scans truly predate the pharaohs, we are no longer speaking about a local anomaly. We are staring directly into a void in our historical record, a silence so vast it forces us to question everything we think we know about the origins of complex human societies. For over a century, modern academia has taught that human civilization began around 6,000 years ago with the rise of the first city-states in Mesopotamia, followed shortly by the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. But if the subterranean architecture beneath Giza proves to be older, or even unrelated to dynastic Egyptians, then those pillars of historical understanding begin to crumble. The implications extend far beyond archaeology. They touch on anthropology, theology, linguistics, and the very framework of science-based chronology. What if Egypt didn't invent the pyramid building tradition but inherited it from a forgotten people? What if the grandeur of ancient Egypt was not the dawn of civilization, but a resurrection of an earlier, now vanished epoch? This possibility invites a radical reinterpretation of ancient wisdom, suggesting that the knowledge credited to early dynasties may have come from long-lost sources, sources whose blueprints, rituals, and technologies are buried in layers of sand and time. The idea that Egypt's most iconic monuments sit atop even older structures isn't new. But the legitimacy brought by advanced radar imaging, muon detection, and thermal scanning has shifted the conversation from speculation to evidence. For decades, this was the domain of fringe theorists. Now it is the subject of peer-reviewed studies, academic debate, and global headlines. That shift carries weight, and with it, the responsibility to consider the deeper consequences. A revised history doesn't merely alter school textbooks. It reshapes cultural identities. For Egyptians, the pyramids are a symbol of national pride. For the world, they represent human ingenuity at its highest form. But what happens when that symbol is suddenly retributed? When the builders are no longer the pharaohs but an unnamed society that left no records, no statues, and no written language. The psychological shock of such a revelation can be as powerful as the data itself. It's not just about who built what, but about the fear of lost memory, the unsettling idea that we once knew more, achieved more, and somehow forgot. This also has enormous implications for how we see the rise of science, technology, and architecture. If ancient engineers built labyrinthine networks beneath massive stone structures using techniques we still don't understand, then our linear model of progress, from primitive to modern, starts to fall apart. Perhaps history isn't a straight line after all, but a cycle. Perhaps we are not the most advanced version of humanity to walk the earth, but only the most recent. Philosophically, the idea of lost knowledge buried beneath monuments of power forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. We are reminded that time is not always a guardian of wisdom. Sometimes it erases it. Civilizations rise, fall, and leave behind traces so deeply embedded in the earth that they escape our notice until the right technology reveals them. These underground structures whisper a warning that what is buried is not necessarily gone, and that forgetting may be humanity's greatest vulnerability. From a scientific standpoint, the confirmation of a hidden city beneath Egypt's pyramids opens the door to interdisciplinary exploration. Historians, geologists, and architects will need to collaborate in new ways, re-examining what is possible in ancient engineering. Theories long dismissed as pseudo-archaeology may now find their footing in hard data. What was once fringe is fast becoming foundation. And in this shifting landscape, we are reminded that truth evolves, not because reality changes, but because our tools and willingness to see it do. The psychological weight of rediscovering a lost civilization is profound. It forces humility. It demands that we accept our ancestors may have been wiser, more capable, and more connected to the earth and cosmos than we previously believed. And perhaps most importantly, it challenges us to protect what we uncover. Because in the buried ruins of forgotten ages lies not just evidence of the past, but the mirror of our future. The next chapter beneath the sand, with the recent radar scans now confirming the presence of extensive underground structures beneath the Giza Plateau, the world has reached a turning point. The question is no longer whether there's something beneath the pyramids. It's what happens next. As data continues to pour in and interest skyrockets, the race to uncover the truth beneath Egypt's most sacred site is entering a new and accelerated phase. For now, full-scale excavations have not begun. The findings, though groundbreaking, remain largely beneath the surface, both literally and politically. Egyptian authorities have acknowledged the discoveries, yet stopped short of authorizing immediate digs. While the data is compelling, the process of excavation involves high-level coordination, permits, and geopolitical diplomacy. That said, quiet movement has begun behind the scenes. Select teams from the original ScanPyramids project have been granted renewed access to sections of the plateau, with a focus on high-precision thermal and radar scans. These non-invasive methods continue to be favored, as they preserve the structural integrity of the monuments while providing deeper imaging of previously unknown anomalies. No shovels have hit the ground yet, but the mapping process is intensifying. One of the most important players in the next phase will likely be UNESCO. As the pyramids are designated World Heritage Sites, any major excavation requires the involvement, or at least the blessing, of the international cultural watchdog. UNESCO representatives have reportedly been briefed on the findings and are now reviewing conservation guidelines, anticipating the impact that an official excavation might have on both the physical site and global heritage discourse. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, private investors and international institutions are quietly offering support. With tourism still recovering from global disruptions, Egypt is weighing the benefits of unveiling new historical wonders against the risk of sensationalism and scientific error. Funding for new technology, security, and logistical planning is being discussed, with stakeholders from France, Japan, Canada, and the United States joining informal coalitions to support what many are calling the most important archaeological follow-up of the century. LiDAR technology is now being prepared for deployment. Short for light detection and ranging, LiDAR uses pulsed laser light to create high-resolution 3D maps of surface and subsurface structures. It has already transformed archaeological work in dense jungles like those of Guatemala, where Mayan cities were uncovered beneath forest canopies. Now it's being calibrated for the dry, sandy terrain of Giza. Combined with updated GPR readings and synthetic aperture radar from orbiting satellites, this triangulated data will provide the most complete digital model of the Giza Plateau ever constructed. According to insiders close to the ScanPyramids team, the next major announcement could come within the next 12 to 18 months. Researchers are consolidating findings from multiple scanning methods, confirming overlaps, and preparing their conclusions for publication in top-tier academic journals. Before any public announcement is made, it must pass through layers of peer review, governmental vetting, and UNESCO advisories. But those close to the process suggest that what comes next may be even more shocking than the initial scans. Among the key sites currently under further investigation are the northern base of the Khafre pyramid, the southern flank of the Great Pyramid, and the hollow cavities beneath the Sphinx. Data from these locations is being cross-referenced with old excavation maps, 19th-century explorer journals, and previously ignored topographic inconsistencies. The result is a slow but deliberate unweaving of the Giza Plateau's hidden layers. For viewers and enthusiasts, the best way to stay informed is to monitor scientific publications and news sources that focus on archaeology and space-based imaging. Institutions like the Heritage Innovation Preservation Institute, the University of Cairo, and Japan's Nagoya University are all expected to play pivotal roles in releasing the next wave of information. Online platforms that track satellite data, such as NASA's Earth Observatory and ESA's Copernicus program, may also feature updates on imaging passes over the Giza Plateau. But perhaps the biggest updates will come quietly, at first. In the past, breakthroughs have appeared not in breaking news headlines but in niche scientific papers, obscure university press releases, or international symposiums. From there, the information filters outward, often gaining traction when independent researchers and media creators amplify it to global audiences. As always, the most transformative discoveries begin as whispers before becoming worldwide revelations. We are now at the edge of a new story. One that has been waiting beneath the ground for millennia. As new technologies converge and global cooperation slowly unfolds, the secrets of the hidden city beneath Egypt's pyramids may soon rise into the light. All that's left is the question of when. The secret beneath our feet. For thousands of years, the Great Pyramids have stood as timeless monuments to a civilization that once shaped the ancient world. But now, with the aid of technology far beyond what early archaeologists could have imagined, we're beginning to understand that these iconic structures may only be part of the story. Beneath the sand, beneath the stone, a new mystery is emerging, a vast, underground world that challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient Egypt. We've explored the data from radar scans, thermal imaging, and satellite passes. We've traced corridors buried more than 30 meters below the surface. We've compared these findings with ancient accounts, with global sites like Teotihuacan, Derinkuyu, and the Hypogeum of Malta. And we've asked the difficult questions about who built these structures, why they were hidden, and whether our timeline of human civilization needs to be rewritten entirely. The controversy is no longer whether something is there. It's about what it means. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities maintains its cautious stance, while researchers and independent investigators argue for open access and full-scale excavation. The technology has spoken, but the human systems around it continue to weigh the risks of revealing too much, too soon. Yet for those paying attention, the message is clear. We are on the brink of discovering something extraordinary. A hidden city beneath Egypt's pyramids doesn't just add a new chapter to history, it changes the entire book. It forces us to reconsider the rise of human intelligence, the possible existence of pre-dynastic knowledge, and the reality that entire epochs of civilization may have been lost and buried, waiting to be rediscovered. This is not just about ancient Egypt. This is about all of us. If structures like this can exist, unknown and untouched for millennia, what else lies beneath our feet? What other secrets have slipped through the cracks of history, written in stone yet erased from memory? Are we, perhaps, only just beginning to uncover the first layers of a forgotten world, one that speaks not only of technology and architecture, but of belief, intention, and a different way of seeing the universe? The scans may be recent, but the mystery is ancient. And now that it has surfaced, it will not go back into silence. As researchers prepare for the next phase of exploration, one thing is certain: this is no longer just Egypt's secret. It is a part of humanity's forgotten past. So stay curious. Ask questions. Follow the clues. Because sometimes, the most powerful discoveries don't come from what we build.